over. You're dead.
What's up, guys? Hope y'all are having a great day today, just full of so much positivity and happiness, dude, because today we finally get to talk about a great game here on the channel for once, and that game is none other than the latest entry in the Ninja Gaiden franchise developed by Platinum Games, Ninja Gaiden 4.
Oof. That bad, huh?
And well, the best way I can describe Ninja Gaiden 4 is it feels like a game from a different generation in the best way possible. In an age of AAA games being more cutscene than gameplay, Ninja Gaiden 4 is the complete opposite of that trend, and it is glorious. If you're a fan of boobs, blood, and blades, then you will absolutely love this game, man. And I think it's pretty ironic that the first great game in a while from Xbox Gamepass, which this is actually launching in Xbox Gamepass, so if you have that, definitely go give it a shot. But it's kind of ironic that Xbox didn't even make this particular game, and it's almost like instead of going out and spending $70 billion acquiring Activision Blizzard, they could have gone out and just signed exclusivity deals or Game Pass deals with games like this that otherwise might not have existed. So I do want to give a little bit of credit where credit's due and say that, you know, I'm glad Xbox did fund the development of this particular game, because it did turn out to be really, really enjoyable in my opinion, because it just feels like a blast from the past. It feels like that classic Xbox 360 game in the best possible way, just with way better graphics. And to me, that exemplifies exactly what modern gaming should be. It should be a gameplay first experience with amazing visuals backing it up, with the gameplay being the driving factor of the experience. And, you know, if you want to have a good story and things like that, I think that's fine, but gameplay should be first and foremost. And in the case of Ninja Gaiden 4, that is definitely what we're dealing with here. Now, as a self-admitted tourist of the Ninja Gaiden franchise, an overall scrub and filthy casual, if I do say so myself, I really did enjoy this game regardless of the fact that I really had no prior experience with this particular franchise. I did play Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, but I played it on baby mode, so I guess that doesn't really count. But overall, as a newcomer, let's just say, to this franchise, I really did enjoy it, man. I had a really great time. And if you're a little bit nervous because maybe you've heard that Ninja Gaiden is very challenging, which it definitely can be, I think if you are a casual or inexperienced in this franchise, I definitely would recommend still going out and picking this up. I think it is a great entry point into the series, and I do not think you're going to be disappointed. The difficulty options and settings available will ensure that you will have a great time no matter what your skill level or familiarity with the actual game is. And generally speaking, this is definitely one of those games I feel like you're going to want to replay over and over and over again, that you're probably going to get progressively better at the more you do so. The over-the-top blood, gore, executions, and just the insanely fast-paced nature of the combat is downright addicting, man. I finished this game in one sitting from start to finish, 9 hours, man, and I just had an absolute blast. I had a smile on my face the whole time. It was generally a just balls to the wall, non-stop, awesome experience from start to finish. And really, you just don't see many games like this, especially in the AAA space. And I apologize if it just sounds like I'm glazing the fuck out of this game, but I really did genuinely enjoy it. And I really do think that if you want a game that puts fun first and you love the hack and slash genre like I do, like think classic God of War, Devil May Cry, a game like Dante's Inferno, I think this is definitely going to be an amazing game for you that you should definitely go out and buy, or at least play it in Game Pass, man. But I think we should be supporting these type of games financially, personally. Now, for Ninja Gaiden fans, you might be disappointed in the fact that you don't really play as Ryu at all in this particular game. The entire game, you pretty much play from the perspective of the new character, Yakumo, who you play, I think, what is it, 16 out of the 19 chapters. You play play as him, and in 3 chapters towards the end of the game, you play as Ryu, but the problem is those chapters are incredibly short, and on top of that, they're basically rehashes of bosses you already fought as Yakumo. So if you're looking for a Ryu-centric experience for Ninja Gaiden 4, that is definitely not what you're gonna get. Now, you can go back and replay the game as Ryu through chapter select after you complete the campaign the first time around, which is a nice option, but the problem is when you play the campaign originally, you play as Ryu, and you pretty much encounter every single type of combat encounter and major boss that you would anyway if you were to replay the campaign as him. So it does kind of take away a little bit of the wow factor of being able to actually play as Ryu once you complete the game, but he is playable as an alternative character after you finish the main campaign. Now, this is the only character that is available. There are no other playable characters available right now, but apparently they have hinted at the fact that they are planning on adding some of the fan favorite female characters into the game, which personally I have no objections to, because even though Shiori, the main female character in this game, has plenty of mammary magic to go around, I think when it comes to massive racks and jiggle physics and, you know, your typical busty ninja beauties, the more the merrier, dude, and more options is always appreciated in my book. Now, when it comes to the overall gameplay of Yakumo, I actually really enjoyed playing as him. He's super fast-paced. All 4 of his weapons I found to be very unique and fun to use. They each have their own particular use case in combat, and you will find yourself frequently swapping between them when it comes to taking down the various different types of enemies that you will encounter through the campaign. And on top of that, each weapon has its own blood magic raven form, and I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name on that. I don't exactly remember what it was called, but essentially he uses blood magic ninjutsu or something like that. Again, forgive me, I'm not exactly caught up on the lore, but he uses this blood magic in order to change the form of his weapons, which provides you with a guard break ability. So if an enemy is guarding, you're able to press LT and it activates the blood raven form of each weapon, and it immediately breaks through their defenses, and if they are blocking, it does give you a stagger, which allows you to wail on the enemy further. Now, this is based on a meter that recharges over time, or based on damage dealt, which, you know, fills up pretty quickly, so you're able to use these various forms pretty frequently without really having to worry about running out of it unless you're just actively spamming it. You do have a dodge, which slows down time and allows you to reposition. On top of that, you also have a berserk mode that allows you to deal extra damage, and then on top of that gives you this massive finisher attack that basically one-hits most enemies in the vicinity, or it does massive damage to a boss that you're fighting. So that was really cool, but overall I really enjoyed playing as Yakumo. I think his playstyle was very fun, fast-paced, fluid, and overall my only real gripe with the gameplay is the on-rail segments. Now, you may have seen this from the trailer, and basically it looks like something straight out of a Sonic game where you're having to bounce left and right, jump, duck, dodge over all these different obstacles on a rail as you're grinding through the environments, and a lot of these segments felt really fucking buggy. I don't know, like a lot of the times the input wouldn't register. Sometimes you would position your camera trying to get the prompt in order to jump over to the next rail and it just wouldn't show up. There was one point where a train was coming and the prompt to jump over to the rail over to my right would not pop up until right as the train was hitting me. So what I had to do was hit every single obstacle intentionally to slow myself down to try and see if the prompt was time-based and to see if that was the problem, and upon doing this I was able to jump over to the right in time. So there is some general jankiness surrounding that mechanic, and it's also present on the surfboarding segments, which are pretty much identical except you're surfing on water, but it's basically the same idea. You're avoiding obstacles and just trying to get to the bottom of the slope. So those were 2 things that I did notice that were kind of minorly frustrating at times. It did kind of take you out of the experience when you couldn't really do what you wanted to, and the game just really wouldn't let you because you had to wait for the prompt to appear. So that is like my minor complaint with the gameplay. Again, not enough to fully take you out of the experience, just enough to be a minor annoyance. So in a long list of different things to be upset about, that is definitely towards the bottom when it comes to the overall gameplay experience of Ninja Gaiden 4. I think overall what is here is absolutely fantastic, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. Again, I cannot stress this enough. I absolutely loved this game from a gameplay perspective. I had so much fun from start to finish, and I really do think this is something special, man. Now, when it comes to the story of Ninja Gaiden 4, I don't really think most people play these games for the story. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the story has always been a secondary focus, to say the least, and overall, I think the story is serviceable. Basically, all you're trying to do is track down this priest named Sayori, and then through her, you find out that you're going to kill the Dark Dragon, and as Yakumo, you set out on your quest to track down the different seals to release the Dark Dragon in order for you to eventually defeat the dragon in battle and purify it once and for all, because every time Ryu has done so, he has been unable to, you know, successfully purify it, because apparently there's some prophecy that only a ninja from the Raven clan is able to do so. So that is what starts the main chain of events in the game of Ninja Gaiden 4, and essentially you track down these 3 major shrines, you release the Dark Dragon's energy, it culminates in the Dark Dragon appearing, and eventually you fight it, defeat it, and game over. Now, I'm not going to go into the minor story details because this is not a game, again, you're going to be buying for the story. It is basically a video game plot through and through, to the point where it's just an excuse for you to go do cool shit. And honestly, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. It didn't overstay its welcome. It gave you the reason for what you're doing, and I think it was perfectly serviceable in that capacity. Is it going to win any awards? No, but I don't think it was going for that. And personally, I don't really care. Give me more gameplay over story any day, and that is exactly what Ninja Gaiden 4 delivers. Now, the game, like I said, took me about 9 hours to beat. Now, I was playing on easy, again, filthy casual, sue me, but from what I've seen, it takes about 10 to 15 hours depending on the difficulty that you select, so I think it's the perfect length, man. I mean, I love the 5 to 10 hour long video game campaign that is highly replayable, and that is exactly what you're getting here, which, you know, again, no complaints on my front. I 100% miss this type of game where you can play it in an evening if you want to, or over the weekend or something like that. I don't understand why every game is obsessed with being a 30-hour padded out experience that has 20 plus hours of filler and only 10 hours of actual good content. Well, in the case of Ninja Gaiden 4, it has the 10 hours of great content and nothing else unnecessary. So I think that is absolutely amazing. This is a highly replayable game. I want to go back and replay it, which is very, very rare for me these days to want to immediately replay a game upon completing it. The last game that made me want to do that was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and if you're a, I guess, follower of the channel, you know that that's one of my favorite games probably of all time. Again, sue me, but overall, I really do think Ninja Gaiden 4 is well worth picking up, even at the $70 price point. And dare I say, if you are an extra big fan of the franchise, maybe, just maybe, you could swing the deluxe edition for $90 as well. That is entirely up to you. You do not need to buy anything in the deluxe edition. It only includes a bunch of cosmetic shit that you really don't need that much, because I didn't really find it to look that cool in the first place. I preferred the default skin overall. But if you want to throw an extra few shekels at the developers of this game, I'm sure they will not complain about that, and it might make a little bit of a splash in the bucket in terms of maybe convincing Microsoft to fund another sequel, because I would definitely love for that to happen personally. And unfortunately, in this wonderful world of capitalism that we live in, the only thing that matters is when you speak with your wallet. So support the type of games that you want to see more of is my mentality, and this is definitely one of those, man. I would love to see more games exactly like this. I really do think they knocked it out of the park, and if I had to give this game a rating, I'm giving this shit a 9, man. I really, really enjoyed it. This is one of my top games of this year. You know, overall, this was definitely a very, very pleasant surprise. I was not really expecting to like it as much as I did, and genuinely, I think this is well worth going and picking up even for $70, because I think there's a lot of replay value here personally. If you're like me and you like that fast-paced, over-the-top, gory, brutal, just fun action hack and slash genre, I think this is pretty much as good as it gets in current year, man, and I really don't think there's going to be any competition that's touching this anytime soon. This feels like an early Xbox 360 game through and through in the best possible way, and I cannot stress that enough. So if you are even remotely interested in this game, I would highly recommend going out and picking it up. I really do think that if you're a fan of this genre, you're probably probably not going to be disappointed. I really did enjoy it, man. Genuinely. I think this is one of the more fun games I have played this year. And again, I do want to replay it already, which does not happen for me very often. So overall, highly recommend picking this one up. But that brings me to the second topic of this video, and that is the modern gaming industry, dude, because we can't just leave it at that. You know, we can't have just a solely positive video, because then I can't clickbait the title. Okay, I'm sorry. But to me, this game just really proves the point that I was trying to make at the beginning of this video, that, you know, Microsoft might have been better off if they had taken that $70 billion and just targeted development teams like Platinum Games, like Team Ninja, and just gave them the development funds that they needed, which is substantially less than $70 billion. You know, have them fund their game, develop something like this for Game Pass, and then also sell it on other platforms to recoup some of that initial investment. And I think you had a really winning formula there, and it just makes me wonder how different things could have been for the Xbox platform if that was the route they would have taken instead, and how much better the video game industry might have been for it, because you could have had Xbox basically acting as the angel investor for underfunded, talented development teams and dormant franchises like this that really I wish could see the light of day more than they are being utilized right now. And we could have had some great variety entering Game Pass that otherwise might have never seen the light of day. And, you know, I just really can't help but think what could have been. And it's just yet another symptom of the modern gaming plague. And while I absolutely love Ninja Gaiden 4 and I appreciate the fact that it was a game that's made, I just don't know if we're ever going to see anything else like this, especially for Microsoft, because where their priorities lie now, they are solely focused on publishing big AAA IPs that have tens of millions of sales volume potential. And I think Ninja Gaiden 4 is kind of a remnant of a different era of Xbox, because I don't really know how long this game was in active development or when the paperwork was signed with Platinum Games to actually start developing this particular game, but I imagine it had to be at least a few years ago. And, you know, unfortunately, with all the major changes surrounding Xbox and the video game industry as a whole, this kind of feels like maybe the last hurrah in a sorts. And, you know, for that reason, it does make me appreciate this game a lot more, but it's also kind of blackpilling at the same time, because we may never get another Ninja Gaiden game like this unless it sells just incredibly well, which unfortunately the Steam charts for this game are not really showing that to be the case. It peaked at just under 10,000, which again, that's not terrible, but it's not amazing for a game of this caliber in my personal opinion. And that's the main motivation I had behind making this particular video. I don't really expect this review to do incredibly well, so if you're watching this, make sure to hit the like button. It does help out the channel a bunch, but I just wanted to spread the word, man, as little bit as I could, because I really do think this game is worth giving a shot. It's one of those games that, you know, I remember back in the day as a kid going to Target, seeing like a cool cover art, picking it up, taking it home, and just having my mind blown and just having a fun time from start to finish. It gave me that rare sense of just enjoyment that I don't get from most modern video games. This is a gamer's game, and I really do think if you are even remotely interested in the third-person action hack and slash genre, you're probably going to have a good time with. Whether you have to play it on easy, whether you have to turn on the combat assist, or whether you're ready to get completely fucking wrecked on Master Ninja difficulty, I think there really is something here for everyone, and I think it is a game worth experiencing not just once, but probably multiple times over your course of owning this particular title. I think this is one of those games we really should give a shot to, man, because the future of the video game industry is looking fucking grim, and the modern gaming landscape is even worse, dude. It's just, this is a gem in a mountain of shit when it comes to modern video games, and it just makes me yearn for a different time where you could look forward to a different video game coming out every other week. And, you know, again, it feels like kind of a last hurrah in a sense, like one last love letter to this particular franchise and genre as a whole, man, because in a gaming landscape of shitty Souls clone after shitty Souls clone, this is a rare oddity of pure action hack and slash fun, and genuinely, I would recommend picking this up if you have even remotely the slightest interest, because genuinely, I don't really see anything else coming out for the rest of the year that's probably even going to even remotely rival this in terms of just pure fun factor from start to finish. I mean, maybe Kirby Air Riders if you're into that, or maybe Metroid Prime 4 turns out to be really good, but bro, for me, third-person action hack and slash with with blood and gore and over-the-top visuals and just awesome executions, cool weapons, you know, awesome set pieces, boss battles. Like, it doesn't get any better than this for me. And personally, I genuinely had a great time playing it, and it takes me back to a better time, man, where video games were video games instead of wannabe movies, and we had actual game developers making games instead of wannabe film directors. So overall, man, I don't know. It is kind of sad at the same time, because it's like, when are we going to get another game like this, man? We're probably not going to. It is so rare to get a AAA game that just even prioritizes gameplay nowadays over cutscenes, and much less one with gameplay this fucking awesome and over the top. So I don't know, dude. It's just, I feel like I'm rambling at this point, but I just really want to get the point across. Go support this game if you can. Go give it a shot. I think you're really going to have a good time with it. Even if it means just playing it in Game Pass for now and picking it up on sale when you can afford it, give this a shot. Trust me. I really don't think you're going to be disappointed. Don't be afraid to play it on easy. You know, your e-penis will only shrink 2 inches, I promise you. You know, a couple Redditors may say, oh, you didn't actually beat the game, but whatever. All that matters is you have a good time with it, and this is definitely the type of game that wants you to have a good time with it. So play it however you want to play it, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed. But anyway, guys, I am just ranting at this point, so I think this is a good time to cut it off. If you did enjoy this video somehow, some way, make sure to drop a like on it. I would greatly appreciate it. And let me know your thoughts on Ninja Gaiden 4 in the comments section below. Have you played it? Are you planning on playing it? Have you beaten it? Are you planning on skipping it? Just let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Always interested to hear your thoughts on whatever game it is we are talking about on the channel today. But anyway, guys, you know, as always, I do want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day to check out this video and for all the recent support as well on the channel. You guys are the fucking best, and I really do appreciate it. So with that shit said, I will catch you guys next time.